This is a semi-automatic electric blowback shell ejecting Nerf AEB based on the Beretta 1301. Before I do anything else, let me show you how cool this thing is. Never gets old. Now, I had been eyeing this thing for a long time, but historically when I see a shell ejecting Nerf AEB or shell ejecting Nerf anything, it's usually not very good. It's usually pretty cheap and it usually jams a lot. So I had questions about this one, especially for the price. I wanted to try it, but I couldn't justify putting the money down. That was until CS Noobs contacted me. They offered to send this thing to me for free, so full disclosure, they did that, and if you want to get one of these for yourself, there's a link down below in the video information. The moment I got this in the mail, I was very glad to be proven very wrong. This thing is built like a tank. It feels like a $400 airsoft gun. Let me get up close to the camera so you guys can really see the details. It's a lot easier to tell just how solid this thing is. There's so much attention too. Lots of little trademarks everywhere, lots of Beretta symbols. Don't know if it's officially licensed, but I have it, so I guess it doesn't really matter at this point. Everything on here is either polymer or metal in one way or another. This thing is just solid. Even the shells it comes with are pretty damn tough. The solid plastic on top and then actual metal on the bottom, which is good because this is going to take a lot of the beating. So it's always going to be able to get grabbed and ejected. This of course comes with a bit of a warning. This is meant to be a replica. Every time I get something that looks realistic like this, I get a ton of comments saying you're gonna get shot by the cops, and I don't know why your first instinct when you get something like this is to run outside with it, but no, this is a replica that belongs in your house only, never in public. Also, no, it's not going to be good for home defense. Don't try to bluff, that's a terrible idea. But as far as a replica goes, it's really good. You can tell how close it is to the real thing. If you've handled any semi-auto shotgun, you should feel right at home, including the thumb safety, which does actually work. And of course the bolt catch, which works on the last shot, as you saw. God, that sounds so good. Sorry, I could play with this thing all day. So how does this work? Well, I mentioned it's an AEB, so it uses a gearbox and it kind of has to be shell ejecting in this way. It's not a flywheeler at all. The battery goes in the stock. It's not a huge battery compartment, but look how much space they have to work with for the gearbox. It has to be in this space right here. In order to get to the battery compartment, you gotta pop off this rubber pad, which you can do by hand, but I find it easier just to slip something under it and pop it off like that. Then it's just a basic little latch like that. Uses a standard XT30 connection and a standard LiPo. That's what actually surprised me. I have an 11.1 volt 3-cell battery just in here, and you can really see the battery compartment is kind of tight, not the biggest, but it will fit at 11.1 volt, and that's all that matters. My only really complaint with the battery compartment is that there's no on-off switch, so once it's primed, it's just primed. You need to take the battery out so you can dry fire it to decompress the spring. If I pull the trigger at all, it's just always gonna prime itself. But yeah, as you can probably tell, this thing is not just a gimmicky toy. This thing isn't just a cheap flywheeling plastic shells, only shoots like 20 FPS. Like, this thing is a real, proper replica. As for performance, well, it shoots better than a lot of the other gimmicky ones, but it's around par for Nerf blasters. And when I say Nerf, I really do mean Nerf. It's shooting around 70 FPS with Worker Gen 3s. I also chronoed with bamboo darts, and FPS was interesting. It was kind of all over the place, in between upper 50s to lower 70s. It's probably because the bamboo darts didn't make as good of a seal in the shells. But as far as these shells go, they take pretty much everything. I have not used a single dart that didn't work in this, so as long as you have darts, it will shoot it. And to be honest, this is not the kind of blaster you're going to be taking to games. Like, please don't take this to games. That's how you get the cops called on games. Also, it's just not really logical to do that. You only have 6 shots. It comes with 6 shells. It fits 6 in the tube, and then you're out. Also, you gotta go pick up your shells again, and it's only shooting around 70 FPS, so this is definitely not a game-ready blaster, and it wasn't made for that. That's fine. One of the concerns I had before I got this is, will it jam? Because shell ejecting blasters just always seem to jam for me, or at least the ones you can buy through actual websites overseas. They generally don't run well. They usually end up being pretty trash. Thankfully, not the case with this one. I have not had a single jam. This thing runs flawlessly. The high quality shells probably help with that. The one thing I can say though is that if you load it wrong, it will jam. And let me try to give you a demonstration. So if you load it, but you don't push it all the way in there, you can manage to have it pop out underneath the loading gate. It's not doing it right now, but you can manage to get a shell under the loading gate, basically ghost load it, and that will cause this to jam. So that is a user error. Keep in mind, you need to really push the shells all the way in there. Here, just like that. If you manage to get this situation going on, it's pretty easy to clear out, but this will cause it to jam if you try to shoot it. But load it correctly, and it works perfectly fine. I just have to do that every time. So is this worth it? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if this is your kind of thing, and you really like semi-auto shotguns, and you just want a replica to plink around with in your house, then yeah, give this thing a look. Link down below in the video information as to where you can buy this. It's the only place I know of that even carries it, so check it out. I recorded a short with Dr. Flux, got his first impressions with this. You might have already seen it, but I'm gonna play the short here and end out the video that way. Thank you guys for watching. He's never seen it. Go ahead and shoot it.
Let's go. What? Yeah, that is nice.
It locks back too.